Tonight, from the pop charts to police custody. One of the world's biggest superstars arrested for driving while intoxicated. And what we are learning about the moments leading up to when Justin Timberlake was charged. A knife-swinging road rage confrontation caught on camera.
You bring a knife! You bring a knife!
Also, millions of Canadians trapped in a stifling heat dome.
Feels like it's the middle of the desert here today.
The forecast and why, for many, it could get worse. While firefighters in the U.S. battle massive wildfires.
The village is in immediate danger now of that fire.
Plus, getting the job done.
Takes the shot, scores!
The Oilers stave off elimination in the Stanley Cup final.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina.
Good evening, everyone. One of the world's most recognizable names in entertainment on a break from his world tour is tonight preparing to fight charges of driving under the influence. Justin Timberlake, who has pleaded not guilty, refused a chemical test to determine his blood alcohol content 3 times and spent the night at police headquarters in Sag Harbor, New York, an upscale village frequented by the rich and famous. Billy Joel, who had lunch today at the same exclusive hotel where Timberlake had dinner last night, had this reaction to the singer's arrest.
Judge not, lest ye be judged.
CTV's Joy Malbin starts us off with what led to the arrest.
And straight ahead.
Add this to Justin Timberlake's celebrity portfolio. The musician now has a mugshot. He pleaded not guilty to driving while intoxicated. Surveillance video shows his gray BMW in Sag Harbor, a ritzy beach town in the Hamptons, where police say he drove through a stop sign last night, swerving in between lanes. The arresting officer says the pop star was unsteady on his feet, had slowed speech, and was clearly intoxicated. According to court documents, the singer's eyes were bloodshot and glassy, and he had a strong odor of an alcoholic beverage emanating from his breath. One of the best-selling music artists in the world, the former Mouseketeer has cultivated a squeaky clean image. Rising to fame in the boy band NSYNC, Grammy Award-winning hits like Sexy Back and Cry Me a River,
I'm Sean Parker.
and garnering praise for his acting. Movies like The Social Network and Friends with Benefits.
Like playing tennis.
Timberlake's arrest comes almost a year after he appeared on Oprah's Masterclass, speaking about his struggle with alcohol.
I drank a whole bottle of whiskey that night, for sure.
Oprah's Masterclass.
The drunk driving charge, another unflattering headline after ex-girlfriend Britney Spears wrote in her memoir personal details about a pregnancy, abortion, and a painful breakup.
His last album didn't perform as well as his albums have in the past. So a lot of people are jumping off the Justin Timberlake train, and this might be another reason as to why as well.
Now married to actor-producer Jessica Biel, they have 2 sons. On Father's Day, he wrote a touching tribute calling his boys his 2 greatest gifts.
This all comes in the middle of Timberlake's world tour. He's also expected back in court July 26th and could face up to a year in jail, but more likely a fine. Omar?
All right, Joy, thanks. We have shocking video tonight of a road rage incident involving a knife, all caught on camera. The ordeal leaving people who live and work nearby shaken. CTV's Heather Wright with the frightening images.
The video begins with a gray Infiniti making a U-turn at an intersection in Toronto on Sunday morning. The car stops and 2 men get out, one of them holding a knife. The man slashes at the person who is recording the video as people are heard yelling. Eventually, the man walks away after he's told several times that the police have been called.
I'm so pissed off. I got really mad.
Noor Mahmood owns the car dealership at the corner where the incident took place.
That's not a good for my dealership either. Like a lot of people, they think like, you know what, that corner is not a great place to shop around for the vehicle.
Today, people who live and work in the area surprised to see what happened here over the weekend.
Your reaction when you see that?
Well, this is crazy. It's unbelievable. I mean, you just like
Ken, I never seen these things, especially around this area.
Police confirm they are investigating the incident and have arrested 21-year-old Rishab Barua. He has been charged with dangerous operation of a vehicle, possession of a weapon for a dangerous purpose, assault with a weapon, and breach of recognizance.
It's really off the rails.
Tracy Valancourt is a psychologist and says people usually stop aggressive behavior when they know there could be consequences, which didn't immediately happen in this case.
What's interesting is that he's being recorded and it still doesn't de-escalate it. It's not until he keeps reinforcing the point, hey, I'm calling the police, hey, you're being recorded, that he's like, oh, okay, maybe I'll back off.
It's not clear what happened here before the camera started rolling, but police are asking for the public's help in identifying the other man seen in the video. He is wanted as part of this investigation. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
Toronto police have identified 2 victims killed in a shooting in an office building near a daycare.
Very, shocked and surprised, but, thankfully the way they handled everything was they were sending updates on the app and pretty much answering any question, and they kept saying the kids are safe.
Nervous parents and their kids returned today after Monday's frightening lockdown. Police say an altercation led to the shooting that left 54-year-old Toronto resident Arash Misagi and 44-year-old Concord resident Samira Yousefi dead. The suspected gunman also died. A judge in Saskatchewan has sentenced a former Mountie to 11 years for shooting his lover. Bernie Herman was convicted in January of manslaughter in the death of Braden Herman, no relation. In 2001, Braden's body was found in a park on the outskirts of Prince Albert after he was fatally shot in the chest. Bernie had testified he fired the gun because he felt threatened. Despite the sentence today, the judge said, in one sense, it was as near to murder as it can get. But in another sense, it was near to self-defense. Millions of Canadians are still sweltering in a pre-summer heat wave that is expected to stick around for a few more days. But for some, those stifling temperatures could become especially unbearable. CTV's Quebec Bureau Chief Geneviève Beauchemin explains why.
The calendar says it isn't summer quite yet, but the heat is on in much of eastern Canada. It was 63 degrees Celsius on the surface of the dash of a car baking in Montreal.
Feels like it's the middle of the desert here today.
A large mass of tropical air, a heat dome, is parked over Quebec, Ontario, New Brunswick, and parts of Nova Scotia, and stretches into a large section of the U.S. So the air temperature here west of Montreal is right now about 32 degrees Celsius. But if you look at the asphalt here, you're seeing that it's much higher, an illustration of heat islands driving up temperatures in parts of the city. Mix in the humidex, it feels like more than 40 degrees. Nights won't go down below 20. This will last for days.
We know that when it's hot like this, especially at the beginning of the year, there are people who are more vulnerable. We know the elderly, people with chronic diseases.
One neighborhood west of Montreal will face the dangerously high temperatures without power. Hydro-Quebec is cutting electricity for scheduled maintenance work that the utility says is crucial.
We're going to have the shuttle service running all day.
Le Wellesley Seniors Residence is on that grid.
When we got the notice, I figured, okay, they're going to change their minds when they realize that it's a retirement home and that there are people who are disabled, blah, blah, blah. Nope.
And so Le Wellesley put a plan in place to keep seniors safe.
We'll be going door to door to all the units, going into all the units, being present, making sure they're hydrated.
Heat waves do hit in June. Still, with climate change and forecasts of a hot summer ahead, this early season, long-lasting blast of hot air may be just a preview of what's to come. Geneviève Beauchemin, CTV News, Montreal.
And for more, let's bring in CTV meteorologist Kaylin Mitchell now. Kaylin, how rare is it to see temperatures this high in June affecting such a large area? And how long can we expect this heat to last?
Yeah, I would consider it pretty rare, Omar, because we're talking about peak summertime heat and humidity levels across areas of Ontario, Quebec, and even the Maritimes. And we're in the month of June, so we still have the full summer season ahead of us. In fact, unofficially, there's likely to be some new daily high temperature records that were set at some weather station sites in parts of Ontario and Quebec today. And I know I'll be watching for new daily high temperature records in the areas of the Maritimes over the next couple of days. As far as how things are going to be changing, when the heat and humidity will be breaking. Some relief in the forecast for parts of northern Ontario on Wednesday as some less humid air starts to filter in behind a passing cold front. Now that front will be coming down through parts of southern Quebec and southern Ontario on Thursday. So that's when those two areas can expect some lowering of the heat and humidity levels. The Maritimes, though, still be peaking with that hot, humid weather on Thursday before finally getting some relief on Friday. Omar.
Around the same time as the official start of summer. All right, Kaylin, thank you. And in the U.S., more than 73 million people across 20 states are under heat alerts, with record highs expected through the weekend. New York's governor activated the National Guard today to respond to heat-related emergencies.
This is a time of significant risk, and we're doing our best to make sure that all lives are protected.
And some schools are also switching to half-days to help cope with the blistering temperatures. The heat and high winds are also fueling more than a dozen wildfires in California, and this one in New Mexico has prompted a state of emergency. 2 fires have merged, threatening a mountain town, forcing thousands to evacuate. Parts of New Mexico have been in a drought for close to a year. Well, no drought in Calgary, but a rupture to a critical water main has prompted water restrictions. And now the city is asking for an outside review of what caused the break. That's taking weeks to fix, as an influx of visitors is about to arrive for this stampede. Here's CTV's Kathy Lee.
The work to fix Calgary's catastrophic water main break is now focusing on 5 hotspots and will soon include 2 sections of replacement pipe from San Diego arriving tonight. Today, the mayor pledged to find answers about what happened, announcing a third-party review.
Like all of you, I wanted to get to the bottom of what happened.
Despite the water restrictions, the local state of emergency, and the expected 3 to 5 week timeline for a fix, business owners are relieved. The stampede will go on in just over 2 weeks.
We just got through 3 years of the most unprecedented times that should have put us out of business and almost did. We really need the stampede to get back into the black.
Our hope is that they should have it done before stampede.
The 10-day festival generates $282 million for Alberta and brings in 138,000 visitors from around the world. Hotel operators say the water restrictions don't seem to be keeping people away.
Those purposes to travel won't change, regardless of the amount of water they can consume or use while they're here.
The Stampede is looking to make changes that includes using non-potable water for cleaning and grooming the track and bringing in treated water for guests and livestock.
We're confident that we can offset a great amount of this Calgary treated water during the Calgary Stampede.
And visitors are being asked to take shorter showers and bring dirty laundry back home.
They'll probably just do whatever they want because they're just going back to wherever they came from anyways.
I think there's a chance that a lot of them will abide by the local water shortage rules, but there also is a very big possibility that a lot of them will just kind of, whatever.
Probably not, because they're just visitors, right?
There's no timeline for the third-party review, which aims to find out not only what happened, but how the city can make its supply more resilient in the future. Kathy Lee, CTV News, Calgary.
A last-minute push to complete unfinished business as the House of Commons is expected to rise this week for the summer break. That political race comes right ahead of another, a crucial by-election in a Toronto area riding that is a summer litmus test for the Liberals, who are down in the polls. Here's CTV's Judy Trin.
Heat warnings outside as temperatures rise inside Parliament.
How can we trust anything he says about taxes, poverty, or money?
His answer is completely illogical and unfounded.
The House of Commons will break for the summer this week, with the government eager to show it's made progress.
I think as we analyze the work that got done over this past winter and spring, Canadians will come to realize we have made significant progress on a lot of fronts.
This week, 6 more bills will become law, including Bill C-70, the act to counter foreign interference, which had support from all parties. The budget will also pass, but without one element. The bill to change the capital gains tax is delayed until the fall.
We're going to continue to work for Canadians and to alleviate the pressures that they are feeling because of rising prices and the high cost of living.
But no matter what you've done so far, it doesn't seem to be
Actually, we're not focused on the polls.
But even good news can't erase bad numbers. The inflation rate has dipped slightly. The Bank of Canada has cut rates for the first time in 4 years, but the Liberal government is not reaping any benefits. According to Abacus polling, they've fallen 20 points behind the Conservatives.
The Conservatives are ahead across all age groups. There's no gender gap in our polling anymore. Women are as likely to vote Conservative as men are now. And so their efforts to speak to that younger generation, talk about fairness for every generation, doesn't seem to have made any difference.
The polls that do count are votes. That's why there's a lot of attention on the by-election in the riding of Toronto-St. Paul's next Monday. Omar, that's a Liberal stronghold that could fall.
All right, Judy, thanks. McGill University says it's ending negotiations with pro-Palestinian activists who have occupied its Montreal campus since April. The protesters, however, are accusing the university of trying to silence them and say they won't back down.
They are showing once again that they are not engaging in good faith.
The school says it will continue to pursue legal measures to evict the camp and take disciplinary action against students participating in the encampment, which could include expulsion. Russian President Vladimir Putin has arrived in Pyongyang to meet with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, Putin's first visit in 24 years. The pair's embrace on the tarmac, a sign of the strong relationship between the countries, who say they want to cooperate more closely to overcome American sanctions. North Korea is a crucial supplier of arms to Russia for its war in Ukraine. And Putin is now vowing to deepen trade and security ties with the nuclear-armed nation. Coming up, do or die for the Oilers.
Let's go, Oilers!
A must-win game for Edmonton on the road. Plus, preparing for the return of a Canadian hero. Well, the Edmonton Oilers have kept the Stanley Cup dream alive tonight. The team doing what it had to do in Game 5 of the final and beating the Florida Panthers in a decisive 5-3 victory. And now it's back to home ice on Friday for Game 6 as the team inches closer to hockey glory. CTV's Paul Hollingsworth is in Sunrise. It was such a thrilling finish tonight for the Oilers, Paul.
Omar, the Edmonton Oilers came into this game hoping to continue grabbing the momentum in the Stanley Cup final. Mission accomplished. They win. They pulled ahead with an early lead in this game, and they hung on with an empty net goal to knock off the Panthers 5-3 and take this series to a Game 6, which will happen Friday night in Edmonton. The Edmonton Oilers, the little team that keeps chugging along, they were down 3-0. They look to be dead in the Stanley Cup final, and now they are very much well alive. And the Oilers fans here who traveled all the way to Florida are in complete celebration mode, and the Panthers fans are still rather optimistic. Omar, back to you.
All right, such an exciting game, Paul. Thank you. The International Ice Hockey Federation has named Canada's Natalie Spooner as the Female Player of the Year.
But now Natalie Spooner shoots. She scores!
The PWHL Toronto forward led the league with 20 goals, including 5 game winners. She was also just one of 2 players in the league to average more than a point per game. Still ahead, remembering Willie Mays, saying goodbye to a giant of baseball. The world of baseball is remembering one of the greatest and most beloved players of the game tonight.
Willie's incredible play made World Series history.
Willie Mays' over-the-shoulder catch of a long drive in the '54 World Series is baseball's most celebrated defensive feat. Over 22 seasons with the New York and San Francisco Giants and the New York Mets, Mays hit 660 home runs. He was baseball's oldest living Hall of Famer. Late tonight, the league commissioner wrote that Mays will be remembered as a man who will forever remain on the short list of the most impactful individuals our great game has ever known. Willie Mays was 93 years old. Microsoft was dethroned today as the world's most valuable public company. American chip maker NVIDIA now has the title. A surge on the stock market boosting its market valuation above $4.5 trillion Canadian. The company dominates the market for chips needed to create artificial intelligence systems. A strange object has appeared in the middle of the Nevada desert. Las Vegas police posted a picture of the glimmering rectangular prism known as a monolith online, hoping to find out more about where it came from. It's not the first time a mysterious object like this has been found, with similar sightings in Utah, California, Romania, and Wales. Some have even become tourist attractions, but not everyone's a fan. Some fish and wildlife officials are worried it could damage rare plants. After the break, Newfoundland remembers.
We always say someone from every community enlisted in the war.
Preparations for a homecoming ceremony, more than 100 years in the making. An artist and his team have been busy at work in St. John's with a project to help Newfoundland remember one of its greatest sacrifices. On July 1st, the unknown soldier repatriated from France will be laid to rest at a war memorial to honor the fallen. CTV's Garrett Berry reports.
The weathered green exterior brushed away, making room for the original elegance to shine again.
This is an example to me of that kind of supreme kind of craftsmanship that existed in an era gone by. And
for 2 weeks, Morgan McDonald and his team have cleaned these statues on the National War Memorial in St. John's, built a century ago. And soon to be the final resting place of an unknown soldier repatriated from France.
You can literally see the sculptor's handwork and the sculpting tools and the brushwork and these kinds of things. So there's a really intimate kind of experience there.
July 1st marks 108 years since the Battle of Beaumont-Hamel, one of Newfoundland's deadliest days. Hundreds of soldiers were killed and injured after being ordered over the top by British commanders who had ignored warnings the day's attack wouldn't go as planned.
Newfoundland had this massive effort that other places didn't see. You know, there was almost someone from every community, we always say, someone from every community enlisted in the war.
For McDonald, like for so many in this province, there's a deep personal connection to Newfoundland's war history, a grandfather whose stories lived on through his family.
His photo in the regiment uniform always hung in her kitchen, over the kitchen table, and so it was kind of like one of these memories that's, you know, as a young child, is kind of part of my, growing up.
July 1st is Memorial Day in Newfoundland and Labrador in recognition of what happened at Beaumont-Hamel. This year, Princess Anne, the Colonel-in-Chief of the Royal Newfoundland Regiment, is set to be in attendance. Garrett Berry, CTV News, St. John's.
And that's a snapshot of this Tuesday. For all of us at CTV National News, thank you for watching. Good night, and see you tomorrow.
Canada's #1 newscast for excellence in journalism.
We begin tonight with breaking news.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina, winner of the Canadian Screen Award for Best National Newscast. Watch weeknights at 11